My name is Lorenzo Quer, and I'm going to be your instructor today, teaching you all about computer science and the external subjects that influence computer science. Let's get straight into it. So this right here is just going to be the table of contents, which is just what all we're going to be talking about in today's video. We're going to be talking about what is computer science, networking, database management, programming, the supply and demand for computer science, and lastly, ethical issues and moral responsibilities of computer scientists. Let's start. What is computer science? Computer science is the study of computers and computing and their theoretical and algorithmic foundations, hardware and software, along with their uses for processing information. The discipline of computer science includes the study of algorithms and data structures, computer and network design, modeling data and information processes, and artificial intelligence, also known as AI. However, outside the components of programming, networking, and database management of this field, there are external non-IT fields that influence, support, and enhance the work of computer scientists. Two such influential compatible fields are the economy of supply and demand for computer scientists and the moral and ethical responsibility of computer scientists within the parameters of religion. What is networking in computer science? Computer networking is a process of connecting two or more computers with the purpose to share data, provide technical support, and to communicate. Networking technology has revolutionized the world and has created a new level for the overall development of every nation. Networking enhances computer science in many critical ways. These include facilitating technical support. Through computer networking, a person in Japan can provide technical support to someone in the Americas. Ease of data sharing. Utilizing the framework of networking, it is very easy to share all formats of digital data from one computer system to another. And lastly, efficiency in communication. With the help of networking, the communication system has now become highly accurate, precise, and fast. What is VTP in networking? Now, you may be wondering, how can such extensive tasks be complete in a matter of seconds? One reason this is possible is because of VTP, also known as VLAN trunk protocol. VTP allows that when you configure a new VLAN on one server, the VLAN is distributed through all switches in the domain. This reduces the need to configure the same VLAN everywhere. There are three types of VTP modes. VTP server mode, a switch operating in this mode can create, modify, and delete VLANs. VTP client mode, a switch operating in this mode can't change its VLAN configuration. You cannot create, change, or delete VLANs on a VTP client. And lastly, VTP transparent mode. A switch operating in this mode doesn't participate in VTP. I'll show you an example of configuring a VTP now. As you can see, we are now in the Cisco Packet Tracer workplace. Now I'll be showing you how to configure VTP on two switches. So we're gonna need two switches. So we're gonna drag out two 2960 switches. And then the cable we'll be using to connect these two is a copper straight through cable. And we'll use the port Gigabit Ethernet 0/1 to connect them on both sides. So now we're gonna go into the switch that I'll make the server, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna enable and then conf t. This puts us in the highest mode in the switch so we can make the configurations we need to do. So now we're gonna assign the cable to be a trunk cable. So we're gonna type interface G 0/1, G standing for the Gigabit Ethernet, 0/1 standing for the port we're using. And then we're gonna put switch port mode trunk. This is saying we want it to be in trunk mode. It's going into a trunk. With that done, now we're gonna exit out of this, and then we're gonna assign the VTP server status to this and the domain name. So to do this, we're gonna simply type VTP mode server. Simple as that. Now it says VTP, the device mode already VTP server. This is because Cisco Packet Tracer switches, by default, the switch is gonna be a server. So now we're gonna set the domain, so VTP domain, and we're gonna set the domain to, let's do BES, from null to BES. And now we're gonna set the password, VTP password 123. With that done, we are now gonna create the VLANs. So to create a VLAN, you're just gonna simply type VLAN 10, which is the number of the VLAN we're going to make, VLAN 10, and then you just name it, name students, and it'll make another one, VLAN 20, name teachers. And with that, we are now done with switch 0, the server switch. So we'll now go on to switch 1, And we're going to go into the same global configuration mode by typing en and then com space t. And now we're going to make sure the cable was assigned to a trunk, because usually when one sub cable is configured to a trunk, the other side will as well, but we just want to make sure. So we're going to type interface G0/1 and then switch port mode trunk. So since it didn't give us the long 4-line answer, this means that it was already automatically assigned since the other side of the cable was assigned this mode. So we'll exit out of this, and then we are now going to assign it to a VTP client so that whatever was done on the server will just automatically transfer over to the client. So we'll do VTP mode client, assign device to VTP client mode, and now we'll do VTP domain BES because the server switches on the domain BES. Domain name already set to BES, and then we're gonna put in the password VTP password 123. And with that done, we're now gonna exit out of here, and we're gonna see if the show VLAN, we're gonna type show VLAN and see if the VLAN's transferred over from switch 0, which is the one we made the VLANs on. So we're gonna type show VLAN brief, and as you can see, we see students and teachers. This means we successfully configured the trunk cable and the VTP status. Thank you. Next, what is database management and computer science? Data management is a diverse research area focusing on efficient, scalable, usable, and secure management of big data. Classically, data management has focused on structured data, but it now also includes a variety of complex data types and settings. These include textual data, semi-structured data, graph structured data, and continuous data streams, as well as data regardless of type that is incomplete, imprecise, or which represents probabilistic assertions rather than known facts. Database management skills enable you to perform many tasks. These include the creation and management of files, file grouping, databases, tables, and transaction logs, the enforcement of data integrity using constraints, defaults, and rules, the planning and designing of data for appropriate use by users and application programs, the construction of different views of data for different users, creation and design of stored procedures, and lastly, the manipulation of distributed data. SQL database management. SQL is a structured query language. It is used for storing and managing data in a relational database management system, also known as a RDMS. It is a standard language for the relational database system, and it enables a user to create, read, update, and delete relational databases and tables. I'll now show you how to create a connection in the MySQL workbench. As you all can see, we are now in the MySQL workbench. So to create your area of work, you're going to come to MySQL connections, and you're going to click the little plus sign. You'll now just name your connection whatever you like. So I'll just put my connection to name it, and then you're just gonna press OK, and then there you go. It's as simple as that. If you haven't prefixed your settings that it asks you for your password every single time, it will ask for your password, and you simply just enter your password. So then you'll just click my connection, and then there you go. You are now officially in a connection in MySQL workbench, and this is where you will use the SQL language to create databases, tables, rows, columns, etc. to manipulate and excavate your data. Nice. Now that you're back, what is programming in computer science? Programming languages are the languages with which a programmer creates a piece of software to run on a computer. The earliest programming languages were assembly language, not far removed from the binary encoded instructions directly executed by the computer. By the mid-1950s, programmers began to use higher level languages. Today, modern day programming languages include Python, Java, HTML, C language, C++, and SQL. What is Python programming in computer science? Python is an interpreted, object-oriented, high-level programming language with dynamic schematics. Python's simple, easy-to-learn syntax emphasizes readability and therefore reduces the cost of program maintenance. Often, programmers fall in love with Python because of the increased productivity it provides. Since there's no compilation step, the edit, test, debug cycle is incredibly fast. Some famous websites built from Python are Instagram, Google, Spotify, and Netflix. I'll now show you how to make a simple Python program. You all can see we are now on the compiler, and I'll be teaching you how to write a simple Python program. So we're just going to be making a simple calculator. You're going to input two numbers, and then the program will add it together and output the sum of the two numbers. So let's get into it. So we're going to choose variables. So x equals int, because it'll be an integer. Then we're going to type input because the user needs to input this value. And then we're going to write the prompt, which will be enter number. And then we could copy this exact same line, and on line 2 we're going to do this the same, except we're just going to change the name of the variable. So it's two different variables, two different key holders. Now on the next time we're just going to do x. We're going to do a equals x plus y. So a will be the sum. You can look at it like that. And now all we're going to do now is we're just going to put print a, because a is the variable holding this new value. So let's run it and test it. Enter number 14. Enter another number, let's do 10. So it should output 24 if we did it correctly. 24, and that is a simple Python program. Let's move on. Supply and demand for computer scientists. Computer science, like any other business, follows the basic laws of economic supply and demand. The demand for computer science is very high and the supply is very low. This stated high demand and low supply is supported by the extensive joint research performed by IBM, Burning Glass Technologies, and Business Higher Education Forum. Per these entities, this relation will continue to be strong for the years to come. This relation on its own dictates that salaries will remain high for computer scientists. This is good. Within the last year, as a direct result of the sudden surge of the COVID-19 pandemic and the need for social distancing, the demand for computer scientists has yet again arisen. On a positive note, however, this field has greatly contributed to worldwide economic growth in the last 20 years. The contribution of IT capital deployment almost doubled from 0.27% to 0.53%. During this period, while the impact of non-IT capital and labor to economic growth remained pretty much flat. Here's a supply and demand chart for computer sciences. As you can see, there are 1.4 million jobs available, but only 400,000 computer science students. That's a 1 million occupation gap. As you can see on the side, the field is expected to grow by 13% from 2016 to 2026. By 2026, another 557,000 jobs are expected to be added within the field. And lastly, by 2030, this deficit could increase to 4.3 million. Computer science are a top paying college degree, and a computer programming jobs are growing at 2 times the national average. Moral responsibilities for computer scientists. Computer professionals are expected to conduct themselves in an ethical manner. Codes of ethics exist in this field to help these professionals make good decisions about the manner of their professional work. Although the meaning of elements within a code of ethics for computer professionals are subject to interpretation, a question regarding an ethical conflict should be answered after considering the fundamental principles surrounding a situation thoughtfully. Computer professionals should not harm others through theft or vandalism or discriminate against others, be honest and trustworthy, act fairly, honor property rights, not take credit for others' ideas and/or work, and respect the privacy of others and uphold confidentiality. Lastly, computer scientists should make sure to uphold these standards because the standard scripture calls us to live this way. By upholding these standards, we in return support the authority of the scriptures on modern day humans. That is the end of my tutorial video. I thank you for listening and hope you have a blessed day.